Alright, so in this tutorial, I'm gonna show how to work with the ZV parent master, the one that I discussed in class. And the app or the plugin to install it is in the W drive, and that's where you see it, and you just install it, and automatically this will pop up on your shelf, your custom. When you click that, this is what pops up. The tutorial for it by this other guy, I forgot his name. The link is on the D2L front page. They're just the front page. You'll see the link. So I want to discuss how to work with the parent master with your rig. Couple of things is that well, first I'll show the little simple animation. Right. As you can see, it's rotating, right? And I got secondary animation going on these controllers. As you can see here, this is the bending, and this one, just a static hold that goes into rotation for this. Alright, so first thing is anything that's gonna have interaction. For example, this, what I had was this and this linked up, but in order to do that, I realized that certain things do need to be named properly. This is where, for example, R, the empty group, or actually I'm gonna crack that open. I crack this open. R COG, which is here, and then inside this. Alright, so I should show the before the rig, before the actual thing I did. Okay, so just remember this. Okay, 1 second. Alright, so I had to pause the video for a bit. So here, this is another file before I made the corrections, because there's some things that needs to be touched up on. So I'm gonna crack that open and that open. This one, the global controller, I moved it over, so it's like this, right? I is over here. I'm gonna just hide the global controller because the pink stuff is just getting in my way. So there's a couple of things. I'm gonna click on that. That's under your custom when you install the parent master. If I try to grab this, right, the COG, I grab this COG, and then I do a parent. So this is a child. You select the child, then the parent, and then if I were to click here, it's not gonna work. Reason why it's not gonna work is that when I crack open the empty group organizer, I crack that open, right? Well, when I first tested it, it didn't work because the I and the R, from what I remember, I had to fix up saying right over here R, and I had to fix this up and put a I, right? And then I also made sure this is an I over here and an R over here, because from what I remember, what I did wrong was the COG, and COG was just default. So when the system tried to link it, it got confused basically. So if I were to grab this, which now has ICOG, so I grab that, has RCOG, and then at the top level it says R. At the top level, the empty group organizer says I, right? So now if I grab the COG, I grab the child, and then the COG for the parent, and if I click this, watch what happens. Now down here it says ICOG control, which is this one, attached to our COG control. So yeah, basically the naming has to be different. Then it will recognize it. And then now what happened is that when I did that, I select the child, then the parent controllers, and then to the parent. Now it works, because if I were to rotate, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. And then let's say the other thing too, but you don't see the keyframe here, because what happened is that this here, basically the mechanics of what's happening. Here's my empty group organizer. See how I renamed it, right? Whereas before I just left it as an empty group organizer, but I put an I now. Since I put an I there, the constraints, this plugin works, because now inside of that I have this. So this basically is something that was made when I did the constraint, the parent constraint. I mean the ZV parent constraint plugin. It made this, telling me that it did something where I attached it. It did a parent constraint, and I forgot exactly what. A couple other magical things. Yeah. And inside of that, I have my ICOG. So it starts to get convoluted, right? Unless you really know rigging, you know. But it made this basically to allow the control of it, right? But there's no keyframe. If I were to say select this or this, right, the newly made thing that was made from the constraint, and then I click here. Oh, where'd it go? Is it this one? Empty group version. I should be able to grab it. Okay, there. So this here, right, this tells us that there is a linkage, there's a connection. And from what I remember, it started at frame 0, the connection, which is here. That tells us that there's a connection. And then from there, I can just start animating. You know, like grab here, hit for this COG, then hit S, then rotate it. See? So let's say over here, then now let's say I want to disconnect it. Then I grab, from what I remember, I grabbed this, was it? Yeah. You see here? And you see this, 16 and 16? And this little white, right? It tells us that from here, right? So right here, it's updating. Now I'm gonna, let me just double check. So from here to here, I made this rotate COG. And then now this COG for the I, I'm gonna have it disconnected at this point. So if I go and here, detach, this now means it's detached at frame 16, grayed out. So if I go here, it'll do that, yeah. And right now I'm grabbing the R, his COG, and it did this. Now if I were to, I don't know, go a couple of frames, and if I were to say, oh, by the way, you see how it's angled like this, right? How it's annoying. You want to go Control Shift right click, set it to object. See? And then I'm going to rotate some more. And this one here, you see how it's doing this too? I can go Control Shift right click, object. And I can go this way. So rotate, he turns him, then he's like, okay, I'm gonna leave by myself now. Okay. And I change the axes, right, from world to local by Control Shift right click and set to object. Or if I set to world, it do this. This, why it looks so whack right now, is because it's just based upon perfect right angles because of the world. This is called world coordinates, right? The handles are back to the default. Whereas if I had to go Control Shift right click, set to object, now it's an object. So I can go pull. Anyway, here, up to here, right? The constraint is on. Watch this. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. Then from here it's disconnected. So now the R is free to do whatever it wants. See? Like that. And then you can come back in. I'm gonna, from here, right? Maybe I'll hold it for this many frames, right? And then I'm gonna turn like that. So turn, and then I'm gonna go forward like this. Okay, so turn, go forward. I'll give some frames, 100. Right, and then after that, at this point, I wanted to reconnect. I want, let's say I want, I want to, for example, to grab it by, let's say this controller. Like pretend this limb is grabbing him. So I have this limb, it's called Control 18, right? And I want this to move I, the letter I. So what I could do is here, right? Grab its COG and then grab this controller, right? And then notice here, this should work. I'm gonna pause the video for a second. So I press the constraint. Now this happened. It turns green. That's active. And then, so basically, if I grab here, there's no keyframe, but I'm gonna press S just so that I know. And then, so what we got here is this. Okay. Going forward, goes away, comes back around, comes back. At this point, we make contact, right? And 47, this here is controller 18, meaning the controller 18, we have a constraint going on at frame 47. Controller 18. Then let's see from 47 up to 55, I hit S. If I rotate, this will move. See? Yeah. And if I go back to here where it began, I'm going to grab that and hit S. Because I want this to move too. I'm going to go over here. And I grab that one. I'm going to go here. What I'm doing is basically just putting markers because it doesn't have markers, so I don't know the key points are for further up the chain. So here, all right, this one is the one that's animated, but I want also this one to move. But when I move this, right, it still moves this because this guy is moving. That. This is how this parent master is like no joke. It is freaking so useful. Otherwise, you'd have to set up the constraints and everything. Like you'd have to manually go in, set it up, blah 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 blah. It's a pain in the ass, but not with the parent master, right? And then let's say I'm gonna go to here, right? So I'm gonna grab all of this, hit S, grab that, hit S. Right. I grab all those controllers. Basically, I hit S so I know my markers. So let's say here to here, right? And then I don't know, maybe I'll just grab that at this point in time where it's gonna kick it up like that. And then since I have my markers, I know where it is. I'm gonna kick it up like that. And then I'll grab this, I'll kick that up. And maybe I'll even pull it a bit. And see, I got my local rotation and movement going on. Control Shift right click, object. Object, its orientation, grab that. I can rotate it like that. So it goes here. See? Then I can grab this controller. I can rotate it. That doesn't do shit. I can pull on it if I want to, but I have no keyframe. So this, right, see? That's where it's attached to. Maybe I'll pull on it a bit, give it some more room. Then I can maybe rotate it a bit. Well, this looks ugly, but oopsie. I just delete that. Uh-oh. Got some secondary animation. See, this is what happens. Let me see, where did I set my keys? Oh, 64. So 63, I'm gonna delete it. Right click and delete. Everything needs to be all on specific frame counts. See? So that's how you control it. And then from there, so it goes here and it goes up. Let's say right here, I want to disconnect it, right? Let's say right here at this arc. Then you have to remember which one is the parent, which controller did I use? I used controller 18, see? So this is controller 17. Oh, this is controller 18, right? Controller 18 on frame 64, which is here. 64, it tells us controller 18, green, and I think green means it's constrained with this thing, whereas this one is for the COG. Oh, see, COG, yellow. This secondary controller is green, controller 18 is green, COG is yellow, in terms of just to visualize it, you know. And this here, let's say at this point, I'm gonna go and detach. Oh. Which which one was it? Do I detach? Was it the child? So I have here the COG for the I. That, let's see if this will detach it. Detach. Okay, now it's detached. Right. I have to go back to the original controller. I thought I could use my the secondary controller, right, to detach it, but you have to grab the original. See right there, it tells us now it's detached over here. None. Whereas if I have to go back during this moment in time, right, these frames, see these? There's a constraint. Just like over here. This is not just a block of a blocky shape. It's just it's literally the amount of frames it's controlling. Up until 52. Well, no. 52 is for this. See, now it's detached. So at frame 64. None. 64. So then that means I can grab this. I can go up and this way. Shit. Interesting. So from here. Right. Okay. And then from there, is it detached now? No. Okay. So if I go here, 63, 64 is detached, right? Huh. Okay. All right, let me pause the view for a moment. Okay, so basically what the deal is that so from here, right, all up until from here is where the attachment begins. Okay, where the COG for the I is attached to this controller 18, controller 18 at frame 47. See?